Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Gerald, or Ginger Gerald Stitcher. First, I want to thank you for sticking around with me if you made it through my first video. I know I was very anxious and very nervous, and so I'm hoping that this video will go much quicker, much better. It's kind of weird sitting here and talking to yourself to a camera when no one else is around. So first I want to answer some of the questions from the comments I had on the first video. Actually, first I want to say thank you very much for all the comments, all of the likes, all of the views, all the subscriptions. I am dumbfounded by the amount of people that are willing to watch, that want to watch my videos. In such a short amount of time. I think I just checked right before I started and I had over 450 subscribers, and that was 4 days ago that I posted my first channel or my first video. So thank you very much. Again, thank you for all the wonderful comments and votes of can't even think of the word right now, encouragement. I'm just blown away by what everyone has to say, and the fact that, you know, I am another male stitcher. There's many other male stitchers on FlossTube, Blitz Stitch, and Stitcher Moose, Coffee Stitcher, Garrett. So it's kind of nice to be in a small group of guys that are willing to put themselves out there to show what they enjoy to do. And it is kind of sad that our society has made stitching and this type of crafting more of a feminine hobby or task, whenever it's just as much being creative as doing other arts and crafts. So that's my little rant. Anyways, I had some questions, I think some baffling questions, just by the fact that many people were shocked that Old World Map, this one here, was my very first finish, and I have to make a correction. This was actually not my very first finish. I completely forgot about another one that I started and finished that was sitting at the framers waiting to be framed. So I will be showing you that here in a little bit. But this was, Old World Map was actually my second one, but they were very close together on finish. So I will be showing both of them because I just came back from this Joann Fabrics where I got them framed, and I'm very pleased with how they turned out. So I will show you that in a little bit, but you have to wait. The best comes last, right? So the other question or comments I had were about local stitching places in and around my area of South Jersey, the Philadelphia area. And I actually had some questions for you guys. I'm curious if there are any local stitching LNSs in the area. I know there's lots of needlework stores. I've actually been to one called Nimble Needle in Haddonfield. That's where I bought my petite treasure braid for the crowns project that I'm doing. And she's absolutely wonderful. Very good customer service. However, she doesn't carry very much cross stitch. She has some fabrics, but she does have an excellent supply of silks and flosses and fibers. So I will definitely be going back to her for that, just to even browse around and look at things, because it's hard to know what you're buying without actually looking at it. I always enjoy to look at it, touch it, feel it. So, is there any local needlework stores or LNSs in my area? So Philadelphia, Princeton, Trenton. I know I've heard of one possibly in Cape May. Not quite sure. I also know that there is one up in Metuchen, which is a little bit of a drive for me. So I'd rather not drive in all that traffic going up towards New York City. So first I want to we're going to clarify some of the questions I had, or some of the comments I made in my first video with going through a cross stitch tag. I'm not sure the actual name of this cross stitch tag. I know many of you have answered these questions, so I will go through and answer them to my best ability, and then we'll go on to my whips and finishes and FFOs. So number one is, how did you start, or who introduced you to cross stitch? I was actually introduced to cross stitch back when I was maybe older elementary, middle school age, and my mother used to cross stitch. When I was a kid, she cross stitched a lot. She doesn't cross stitch anymore, even though she keeps saying she's going to. But I enjoyed watching her cross stitch when I was a kid, and I loved looking at the projects she made. And one of the projects, which I actually have the pattern for because I took it from her, that I want to do eventually, always hung in my dad's office whenever he worked out of the home. So, and that's actually Buzzard Talk by the Cross Stitcher. And the one says, "Go ahead, make my day." That's my favorite. And the other one is, "I don't need all these problems." So I don't need all these problems. And I absolutely loved these as a kid. So I will definitely be planning on stitching this at some point. This is the Cross Stitcher pattern from, I believe it says, it was in the Cross Stitcher magazine in 1985. And this pamphlet was produced in 1986. So my mom started my cross stitch love back when I was in middle school, elementary age, and then I didn't stitch for a very long time. And then I stitched about 6 years ago. I started working on a project that I never, ever finished. And I worked on that when I was living in Korea. And I didn't know anything about how to take care of cross stitch or what to do. And so it just looked really, really bad. And I pulled it out, and the fabric, I think it was 16 count Aida. It was all stained up, so I just got rid of it. I was like, I can't finish this project. So I've never actually finished a piece that I can remember. I might have when I was in elementary school. I don't remember. But then of course, I wanted to start stitching in the summer, so I came back to stitching. So, do you have a favorite theme or designer? I wouldn't say I have a favorite theme or designer. I don't typically gravitate towards a lot of the traditional cross-stitch patterns. I'm not a Lizzie Kate fan. I'm not a huge sampler fan. And I don't want to say I like the more masculine things, but I just like the more, I don't know, non-cutesy type of pattern. So I love the planets that I have. I'm going to show you some of the heaven and earth designs that I have, and one that I'm going to be starting soon. And they're more of like landscapes, architecture, historical type of patterns. So that's more of what I gravitate to. It says, what floss brand do you use? Well, of course, like most people, I use DMC. I've used Petite Treasure Braid, I've used Gloriana, I've used Ship's Manor, but my go-to is, I really use whatever the pattern calls for. Do you use the needle threader, or are you a floss licker? I am one of those dreaded floss lickers. I learned by licking the floss. It doesn't bother me. If it bothers you, too bad. I'm a floss licker. Now, when it came to the Petite Treasure Braid for the crowns, I noticed that still didn't really work. So my mother taught me how to take a little piece of paper and fold it over and put the floss in there and then pull it through like a needle threader. I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't need to spend a lot of money on a nice needle threader because those little cheapy ones don't last. So perfectly fine with paper or licking. What kind of stitching frame do you use? I started with hoops. I still use hoops on the smaller projects like the planets. But I also just recently, in September, bought 2 of the quantum frames from Omnic in Estonia. So I have the 60 and the 40 centimeter lengths, and then I have the 8 centimeter, 8-inch, I'm not sure what they are, stretchers. So I have the Omnic frames. I'm very happy with them. They have wonderful customer service. I will definitely be buying from them again. I also have some of the ones that you can buy from Joann Fabrics or Hobby Lobby. They're okay. They're the ones that have the groove, not the groove, but the slit in the scroll frame. I do notice that they don't keep the fabric taut as much as I would like, so I use those for some of the smaller projects, like the national parks that I finished not that long ago. So just so I can have multiple projects going on at the same time and not have to worry about switching out my fabric. How many projects have you finished? Since July, when I came back to cross stitch, I have finished 7 planets, old world map, my other FFO, 7, 8, 9, national parks, 10. So I think I've finished 10. And my goal is to have 12 finished by the end of the year, because I'm going to finish the 2 more planets that I have. To me, those are kind of like mini finishes because they are so small, but they are still finishes. So I have 10 right now, 2 more projected for by the end of the year. How many completed works do you have currently displayed in your home? Currently, I have none displayed. I will have one after the video. What is your favorite project or finish you are most proud of? I think my favorite finish that I have done is my old world map, just because I love maps so much and I love this design. But I would say my favorite project to date is Rosewood Manor's Crowns of the Kingdom. I just love the way that the petite treasure braid is displayed on the blue fabric that I chose to use. What has been your least favorite or worst experience while stitching? Frogging? Isn't that everybody's worst? Backstitching doesn't bother me. I mean, it does get old after a while, but I think it makes the project look so much more defined. So I would have to say frogging. What do you love and what do you hate about cross stitch? I love that it's relaxing, that I can do it while sitting on my couch. I look forward to doing it. It's a wonderful finished project to display. It also relaxes me after a long stressful day at work. What I hate about it would have to be that it is an expensive hobby. I know that a lot of people say, yes, it's expensive once, but then you have those months and months of enjoyment out of it, but it is still expensive to kit up a project. And if you want to buy the hand-dyed fabrics and the hand-dyed flosses or the silks, it gets to be quite pricey. And so yeah, I would have to say that would be the things I love and hate. Have you introduced anyone else to cross stitch? No. I really don't even know anybody else that do cross stitch in my area or family. I mean, my mom used to, my brother used to. So no, not yet. I should say not yet. What was your first project and did you finish it? If not, what was your first finish? I have no idea what my first project was back when I was a kid. My first project that I started since this year, since I came back to it, is the old world map. And my first finish will be the other FFO that I will show you in a bit. How do you store your cross stitch floss? I store my cross stitch floss by bobbinating and in the typical plastic bobbin cases. You've all seen that. I'm not going to show that to you because, you know, you've all seen it. So yeah, let's move on to whips. If you have any other questions or you want clarification, please just let me know in the comments below. I would love to answer questions if you have any about my process. Oh, another question I have that people often answer is, are you a process or a finish stitcher? I am kind of a mixture of both. I love the process, but after a while, I really need the finish. Like I get almost like senioritis. I get finishitis where I just have to get that finish done, or I'm getting so antsy and I'm bored and I want to start something else. But the way I am, I'm not a chronic starter. I can't handle having too many pieces going on at the same time. When I first started Old World Map, I was thinking I was going to be a one project person. And then I started watching FlossTube and I saw all these people with rotations and plans and while that's all fine and good, if that works for you, that doesn't work for me. I'm not a rotation person. I stitch what I enjoy stitching when I want to stitch. To me, if you have to think that hard about like projects or plans and rotations, to me that takes the fun out of it because I'm using it for enjoyment and for relaxation. But I stitch what I feel like stitching. And if that's one project a day, that's one. If I stay on the same project for 3 weeks, that's fine by me. So when I make these videos, you might see a whole lot of different projects at one time. I wouldn't say a whole lot because I probably can't handle more than 3 or 4. But then you might only see one project, depending upon how often I do videos. So that is what I can come up with for questions right now. So let's move on to whips. So my first whip, and actually I forgot it, I'll be right back. Okay. So the first whip that I have is from the planets, is Neptune. As you'll see in my finishes, I did complete Uranus already. So I will be, my plan is to finish this in the next day or two. And my ultimate goal is to have all 9 planets done by Christmas, which all I have left after Neptune is Pluto, and Pluto's pretty small. I think it's 35 by 35. So it won't take long at all. So this is the 9 planets by Stem Stitch on Etsy. And just some information about it. I think that if you do all 9 planets, it takes 112 different colors of DMC floss. I think it's 112. It's 112. It's in the 100 and teens. So lots and lots of colors for these small projects or for these small patterns, but I think it definitely helps with the the detail and just giving the globes dimension. So that's Neptune. I will show you Uranus here in a second when I get 2 finishes. My other whip that I have going on right now is my Crowns of the Kingdom by Rosewood Manor. You've all seen that before in my first video, the pattern. So here's what I have worked on so far. This is 36 count Neverland Sea by hand dyed by Stephanie, and I'm using the Petite Treasure braid that's called for on the pattern. And so since Thursday, because I filmed the first video on Thanksgiving, I've done the black crowns down here, or tiaras, whatever they are, and I've done these 4 crowns here. Just love the way the the metallic threads are showing up on this pattern, or on this blue fabric. Love stitching this, even though I have had to frog lots and lots. I had in this heart-shaped handle on this dagger, I had one stitch off by one spot over here, and I had to frog this entire section because it threw everything off. And of course, everything is symmetrical in this pattern. A pain in the butt, but still love it. So that's Crowns of the Kingdom by Rosewood Manor. So those are my two whips currently. And here is my finish. Uranus or Uranus. Joe, if you're watching, yes, I said Joe, don't laugh. Love these patterns. This is probably my second favorite, just because of the dimension of the different colors coming down into the bottom of the planet. Okay, now it's time for, I think, what many of you have all been waiting for, are my FFOs. So my very first FFO was a pattern that I created on one of those websites, Picture to Pattern. I'm not sure which one I used, but it was a picture of my friend's cat that we had to put to sleep this summer. And he had wanted to put a picture, or blow up a picture and frame it or hang it on the wall. But I was like, well, I'm going to make a cross stitch out of it, because I found out you can make cross stitch patterns out of pictures. And I surprised him with a picture of his cat. What I did was I took the picture that he liked the most, I got rid of the background so that it's just the cat, and then I added her name to the top. So here is Lily. As you can see, my lighting is reflecting in the mirror. I have a table lamp set up behind my computer so that you can, or to get enough light for in here, because it is such a dark, dreary day here in South Jersey. So this pattern called for 54 colors in her. Surprisingly, for a cat, there's green. Who would have ever thought there's like an avocado green in the picture of a cat? But I think it turned out wonderful. And I did show him the pattern so that he could help pick out the frame. So, and then he helped decide how we were going to put her name on the picture. He has one other cat, Lily's sister, still alive. It's the same friend that's going to be getting the Crowns of the Kingdom. This is Lily Margaret, and her sister's name is Zoe Elizabeth. So I'll be doing Zoe for him, planning possibly for 2017. Later in the year, but they're named after the Queen Elizabeth and her sister Princess Margaret. So that explains the attraction and the love of the royal history, and why I'm doing the crowns pattern for him. So there is my very first FFO, Lily. And my very first pattern, or my very first start, and second FFO, second finish, second FFO is Janlin Kit Old World Map. Now there are, just to give you a heads up, there are some changes I did to the pattern. I did not include the longitude and latitudes lines on the map, and I also didn't include most of the writing on the map because I just didn't like the way it looked, and I thought it detracted from the actual finished piece. There are some beads in the border of the piece. I did not do beads. I don't like beads. It's just a personal preference. I don't think maybe it's the guy in me, I don't know. But I'm not a beader. I'm never going to be a beader. I probably won't do patterns that have a lot of beads in it because I just won't want to do the beads. But so I didn't add the beads on. And there were a few French knots in a few areas that they were too close together, and I just didn't like the way, like is it in the camel or is it in, I think it's in the horse, the neck of the horse here, that I just decided not to do. There are French knots on here that I did, like in the fruit and the roses, but not in I didn't do all of them. So here it is. Old world map. Let's see, where can we put it? There we go. I thought this turned out wonderful. I chose green because I have another picture from Hong Kong when I was there that has like a greenish gold frame that it's going to be hanging across from in my dining room. And it also matches the wording at the top of the pattern. The other change that I did was in this decorative frame here is where you can put your initials, and then they give you a pattern for numbers for the year that you finished the project. Instead, I chose to do Roman numerals because I thought, well, for an old world map, they wouldn't use Arabic numbers. They would, or I think it's Arabic numbers. They would have used Roman numerals. So that is my change. So my second FFO, Janlin Old World Map. Okay. Let's move on to haul. I only have a little bit of haul. I partook in the Joann Fabrics 4 for 99¢ sale at on Saturday for their Black Friday weekend doorbuster extravaganza, and I was there at 6:55. I was the second one in the door. The other lady that was there was also getting DMC floss, so we were chit-chatting in the aisle. It was really nice to talk with her, and kind of funny that we were both getting about 90 to 100 skeins of floss. She was kitting up a bunch of different projects. I was kitting up one project, Heaven and Earth piece that you will see here shortly. And the other, so I got 118 skeins of floss. It calls for 90 colors. Of course, a few of them have multiple skeins. So, and then, which you've all seen DMC skeins, so I'm not going to show you that. But I also, from 123 Stitch, I ordered 28 count white Lugana that I will be stitching my Heaven and Earth on. So, and so I'll show you my Heaven and Earth designs. I own 4 Heaven and Earth designs right now. The very first one I got was Queen Elizabeth. Again, going back to the history style that I like, and I love animals. I just thought this was a cute, funny, but serious at the same time picture art piece that I really enjoyed. no plans on stitching her anytime soon, but I would like to do it. I love the detail in the dress and the ornamental scarf. And then, of course, loving planets in outer space. I couldn't pass up their freebie. So there's Jupiter's moon. That's still available on their website if you're interested, under the freebies. Again, no plans to stitch this anytime soon, but had to download it. One that I do plan on stitching soon, but not the first one I'm going to do, is Harbor Lights. Can't read it backwards. Harbor Lights by John Bradley. I thought this was a beautiful landscape. I love the English style cathedral in the back. So I am planning on just stitching that soon. This will definitely be my second one, unless there's another pattern I find later that I really like. We'll see how well my first Heaven and Earth goes before I decide when I'm going to do this one. And the one I am planning on starting within the next week or so is Henry VIII. Love this picture. I love the blues and the golds in his outfit. It's funny. One of my friend who loves English history thinks if you Google search a picture of Henry VIII as a young lad, I guess I kind of look like him. So he was a ginger just like me. So I will be doing Henry VIII. I'm doing, instead of the called for 25 count, I'm going to do it on 28 count Lugana by Zweigert with the called for DMC. So in my first video, I said I was going to talk about plans, and then of course in my anxious, nervous rant that I did, I didn't really ever say what I was planning on stitching in the in the future here, at least in 2017. Again, going back to what I talked about earlier in the video, I'm not a planning stitcher. I don't like being tied down by what having a rotation or a plan, like a strict plan. So I do, of course, planned on working on Crowns of the Kingdom. I'm going to finish the planets patterns by Christmas is my goal. I should have them done in the next 2 weeks or so. And I'm going to start Henry VIII. I am also going to be doing Frosted Pumpkin Passport with Coffee Stitcher Garrett. If any of you are interested in joining along with us, please do. I know that one's ending, but we haven't started it yet and I didn't want to start it till I saw all the patterns come in. I also am interested in doing. I'm also going to continue stitching on Ship's Manor Beautiful Sea Sow. However, I am just putting that on hold until some more of the pieces come out, because it bothers me whenever I can't finish a motif with the floss, since it is variegated, and it drives me nuts to have part threads. But I'm also excited to hear that he has another mystery stitch along coming out at the beginning of the year, or early 2017, which I will most likely be taking part in. It's I believe a town, and of course I love architecture and buildings and stuff like that. So I am looking forward to that. I haven't purchased it yet. I do plan on purchasing it soon. So those are my plans. Again, thank you for all the wonderful comments. encouraging me, enjoying my progress. I do what I like to do. I know some people in the comments said about how, and on Instagram are saying about how I'm so daring with my fabric choices. I just pick the colors that I enjoy. I'm not an old school person with the crowns. I think it looks beautiful in the called for antique white, but to me it kind of washes out the metallics, and with the blue and the purple that I have planned to do later on, I think it really makes the colors pop off the fabric. And for those people that think I am daring and they're too afraid to do it, I say just go for it. I mean, the only person that has to like it is the person you're either stitching it for or yourself, if you're doing it for you. And so who cares if no one else likes it? It's what you like. So Danielle, Stitcherista, I'm here thinking about you. I love watching your videos. I'm sure you're going to do great with all of your medical appointments and tests and everything that's going on in your life right now. I know the worst thing is hurrying up and waiting for a test and then having to wait for the doctors to get back to you for results. So you're in my thoughts and prayers. And that's it. Everyone have a wonderful stitching week, and I will be back. I have no plans on when I'm going to do videos. It's just whenever I feel like I have enough to talk about. So till next time, happy stitching.